So this is Kiko,
Right.
this is Kiko.
Right. Different form, you know, definitely different depth of the Kiko.
Welcome back to another episode of Cactus Quest. Today I'm spinning around in circles because it's hot outside. And I'm with my friend Adam, and we're getting ready to take a look at his greenhouse where basically, I wanted to do this actually for a while. And the reason I wanted to do it is because a lot of people that collect cactus, they sort of have a very diverse collection and they grow a whole bunch of different things. But Adam actually really focuses particularly on one genus of cacti, which is Astrophytum. And he's got a cool little greenhouse filled with all kinds of really cool and unique Astrophytum. So today we're gonna take a look. So
What's going on, guys?
yeah. So how long I was debating with somebody, they were like, yeah, he just built his greenhouse, but
Yeah.
did you just build it?
Yeah, actually I was up there previously. See, now my son has taken over my old area, but with that came, okay, let's get a greenhouse, move my plants down and get them more acclimated in something I can control. So this is awesome. So this is actually a pre-built that Costco makes. It's like 6 by 7 by 8, so fairly small. You know, I don't have a ton of room out here for a giant greenhouse, but we're making do. And this is the old greenhouse here.
Holy,
Ow.
I don't know if I've been in a greenhouse that is all Astrophytum yet, dude. How long have you been collecting plants? And
Yeah, I'm going on 4.5, 5 years almost now. Started with, you know, soft succulents, Home Depot, the whole nine that a lot of us start with. And then kind of, I just went all out. I fell in love with basically every genus. And from there, I noticed personally that I was kind of gravitating more and more towards Astrophytum.
right?
And then slowly they just kind of took over, really. You know, I still own and collect a few other things that aren't Astrophytum, and there's even some stuff in here.
You got the Euphorbia obesa, the baseball plant, nice philo cactus. And, all right, okay.
But for the most part, it has definitely been Astrophytum. And they've just, you know, taken over.
In terms of the greenhouse that you have here, so it's a
Yeah.
prefab greenhouse, but you have
Prefab.
obviously done some modifications to it.
Yeah, done it quite a bit. Added my own shade in here. So this is 30% shade cloth.
Okay.
And then the panels are UV protect, so it gives about 10 more or less. So it's close to 40. I didn't want to get too close to where everything's so like, I still wanted kind of like a hard grown look and
Right.
feel to my plants. And I do that a lot of different ways with neglect of watering and different things, but I still like the more natural look. So I was trying to find that balance, especially out here where it can get 110, 112 outside temperature.
Right.
And then the greenhouse with all the fans on and the doors open, it's a plus 8 to 10 degrees of that.
Okay.
So not too extremely hotter than the outside temp, but still a good amount of protection from the elements and being able to control a lot of this stuff.
Well, and I think the genus that you're growing,
Yeah.
like that kind of, those temperatures bode well for Astrophytum, seeing is that, you know, you have Astrophytum coelense.
Right.
Coela is, I mean, I was
Right.
there and it wasn't even like the summer, it was 106. you
Yeah,
know, so.
easy. So northern, like Mexico area, you know, very, very, very South Texas. So very hot temperatures. And they do fine. I find that, you know, having transitioned from an outside shade area to a greenhouse, the biggest difference is seed production and just growth in general. I've done a lot of degrafting and, you know, and I found that with the temperature, it's just it's like making popcorn. These things just take off.
Yeah.
Of course, controlling it is the challenge, not letting it get too hot and keeping things kind of going with enough light. It all plays into keeping these guys growing really well.
In Riverside, California, what are your winters like here?
They don't get too cold. I mean, we'll have a couple nights in the 30s, but other than that, the winters are high 40s, low 50s. So not too extreme. There's not too many extreme swings.
You know, you're growing things that are like true species, like the Coelense
Right.
and Myriostigma,
Right.
Capricorn,
Yes.
Asterius.
Right.
Asterius tends to be one where I know but about a year ago, I moved a lot of my plants from a place where it's really, really hot all the time and very dry
Okay.
to a place that's a little bit cooler and a little more humid, a little more
Right.
moisture in the air. And I actually lost a few of my Asterius cultivars. None of my seedlings,
Got
oddly
it.
enough. The
That's
ones that I grew
interesting.
from seed, I didn't
Yeah.
have any problems with them.
Yeah. I
But
can see
any of
that.
the cultivars that I sort of had, like my
like a Kiko.
my Kikos,
Right.
actually all did not transition well. You seem to be pretty good with keeping Asterius alive and growing them. Is there anything that you do different with Asterius than you do with your Myriostigmas?
For the most part, not too much. What I have noticed is that they do appreciate, in a weird way, being underpotted, meaning not transitioning them to a pot that's too much bigger than they are themselves, and not having them in a big pot that's going to take in a lot of water and just be
Right.
sitting in that for a few weeks before the whole thing dries
So
out.
here's an example of what you're
Yeah.
talking about, right? So this one's actually even touching the sides, but
Exactly.
they respond well
They
to
respond really well to that. 3 1/4 pot, 3 1/4 plant, and responding. Yeah, that's been in there quite a few years now. So I don't repot them either as often as I would Myriostigma, where it's like I'm repotting every 2 years. You can go 4 years. This big Asterius here has been in this same pot for 4 years and just doing great. But I have gotten tips from others that kind of aligned with that, which the only outside tip from having well draining soil, the normal stuff, is underpotting these guys a bit, and letting them kind of thrive from there.
And so with your temps being what they are, and
Yeah.
your watering schedule and soil, what does that look like? So you mentioned what
so
kind
I'm
of
at
soil?
about a 75-25 organic regular cactus soil to pumice. I put a little bit of turfus in there too, just to add some elasticity. But it's about 75-25.
Okay.
And I'm watering once every 2 weeks if I'm lucky.
Okay, so
I gotta-
75% pumice
Yeah.
and or turfus, and
Right.
then 25% the cactus soil, which
Cactus
probably
soil.
also has some sand
It does.
and some pumice in it of its own. So
Right.
you're probably closer to about like an 80. So you
right,
have
right.
you're using dirty pumice, as they call it
pumice,
at the
yeah.
Huntington. What is going on right there?
Yeah, I think that's a little pup growing.
And so it's, wow.
Yeah, it's popping off.
It's
of
having a
itself.
vegetative offset coming out of the apical meristem, which
Yeah,
is
it's
not
pretty.
very
That's
typical.
not common.
So one of the other things that I find amazing is you've got the genetic diversity of Astrophytum is
Yeah.
insane.
It's wild.
With Myriostigma, with Super Kabutos, and all
Right.
these different plants. But look at so these are all different cultivars here of Myriostigma.
Myriostigma Kiko, right?
And these are all, so this is Kiko,
Right.
this is Kiko.
Right. Different form. Definitely different depth of the Kiko. And just a crazy variety of it. Some of it even just looks like ribbing because they're not spread out as much.
Right.
So it almost looks kind of wavy. And then you have something.
Yeah, these two right
Yeah,
here.
it's
I mean, it's each one has qualities to it that are really, really impressive. That's cool because they're so big and almost upturned.
Right.
But then they're so uniform and I don't know,
Right.
visually satisfying. That's
Yes,
just
very, very satisfying.
man.
I know.
This almost looks like an Echeveria when you're looking at it from this direction. Wow.
It's pretty wild. And what I notice, taking pictures of these things and seeing them in different lighting is the angle at which you're viewing them from, you get a whole different perspective. If you're when I'm in here, sometimes I'm crouching and I'm
Right.
like, these look like completely different plants than
Oh,
they
yeah.
look at from here, where
Sure.
my height is. Going down low, it's like, oh my gosh, it's incredible.
How often do you rearrange the greenhouse? do you find yourself rearranging it?
Right now,
that.
yeah, it's just it's like moving furniture around, right? Like, well, if I do this and I do, especially when you're working with a smaller area, you're playing Tetris almost, and figuring out what's the best way to have some of these guys.
So then you've got all these little guys down here. Are these some of your own seedlings?
Yeah, some
or?
of these are my seedlings. Some of these are offsets from degrafted plants that they just shoot off their own pups, and I plant them and try to make more. And when I run out of room, I try to sell some stuff. So got a lot going.
Didn't even realize there's all these ones up here.
Yeah, I got some cool little guys up there. So I kind of have different areas. Some are like, I'm recovering and growing seedlings, and you have mother plants for gathering seeds. And then up top, some guys that have been up there a while that can take that more intense heat without burning and any of that.
What type of issues have you had with pests, and what type of treatments have you found to be effective here in the greenhouse?
I've learned through the years, growing outdoors was definitely actually more of a challenge than growing in the greenhouse, where I can really control what's kind of coming in here,
right?
What's it being presented to. I do. This is interesting. Not a lot of people mention this, but I do spray around my greenhouse for pests.
Okay.
On the outside, trying to keep as much.
So like just along the floor and stuff. Just
along the floor, all around the greenhouse with just the different pest control products. And then inside of the greenhouse, I let nothing in here. Everything. This is open right now because we're out here.
Right.
But I have a cover that comes all the way down. I attach it with Velcro, and it's tight. It's very tight, keeping out anything from trying to get in here or even wanting to be in here. And really, I haven't had a problem with pests. I'll spray a systemic a couple times during the growing season, but that's pretty much it. And the other part of it is just inspecting your plants, right?
Right.
Coming out here and looking at them, checking to see because with plants being this close, all it takes is one to get infected, and you got a problem real quickly.
It's like triple ribbed.
Yeah, that trichostatum.
Super cool. Hey, wait a minute. That's actually.
Yeah, that's a Cactus Quest there.
That's a Cactus Quest pot. That's awesome, dude. That's an OG one.
Yeah.
When you got the seeds here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a variegated. Is that?
Yeah, it's a variegated trichostatum myristigma. Yeah.
So if people want to follow you, because I mean, I know a lot of people in the local community already know who you are and all that kind of stuff, but for people that are watching this video, finding it, on Facebook or YouTube or wherever they're finding it.
Sure.
If they want to follow you on social media, what do you?
Yeah, I'm pretty exclusively on Instagram at Baker Sucks. Baker, last name. And yeah, I buy, sell, trade. I got a bunch of seed production going. Bunch of seeds going. I'm clearing it must be close to 5,000 seeds a month. And then you see I have some in here. I was collecting some stuff, but I'll make different varieties. I'll cross things, and I'll take pictures of when I pollinated them and try to keep some of that data together.
So you have a spreadsheet of this?
Yeah, I have a database actually.
Nice, dude.
I have a nice SQL database, and I'm writing stuff down and cataloging. And over the years, I hope to make some really cool cultivars and maybe commission some crosses for people, things like that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's very, very cool. What is the name of this one? You have two of these,
yeah,
right?
I have a few of those. Man, they're tough to get, but that's a Astrophytum ornatum. The cultivar is called Hania.
Hania?
Yeah, Hania.
Safe to assume it's a Japanese cultivar?
Japanese cultivar. I believe believe that's after like the armor and the face masks that they have in Japan.
Well, that's what the Super Kabutos are named after.
Yeah, they're named.
So they're named after
that
those
too.
helmets.
Right, the helmets.
The Kabuto helmets.
Right.
Yeah, that
So,
thing is awesome.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool cultivar. I mean, you're talking, you know, generations of getting those to that point. So something to aspire to, but at the same time, you know, get some seed from and see if I can grow some from seed. So it'd be awesome.
Yeah, these cultivars are incredible, and definitely, I mean, so when you say generations, I mean, these things probably took like decades to get those things going.
To get those forms and you know, isolate them and then cross them and find the best of those and cross those and eventually getting to a place where that's stable.
Little offsets on this guy.
Yeah.
And so then the other thing is with, you know, you didn't mention this, but I kind of wanted to ask you about it and just kind of touch on it because I know it's super important. Being that the greenhouse is so tightly sealed, I mean, you've even got the vent like sealed up, right?
Yeah.
Being that it's so tightly sealed, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fans.
And there's one exhaust down there too.
Okay. So why so many fans?
Yeah, so a lot of it is air circulation, so kind of keeping the air moving. I have noticed that helps as well with pest control. So keeping the airflow circulating really helps with that. It also helps move that hot air out of the greenhouse. So I'm bringing air in. I actually bring air in from here too in the summer, and it exhausts out there. It also exhausts from there because that's a circulating fan. So it's bringing air in and sucking air out. So circulating the fresh air from the outside, bringing it in, helping cool down the greenhouse, and then exhausting that air out is kind of what I ended up with here.
The one thing I will say on the topic of air circulation is that in my experience in traveling out into the desert to go look at the plants in their natural environment, where these things actually come from in nature, there is one consistent theme with the weather. It's super dry, it's super hot, unless it's winter, it's super cold, but it's almost always super windy, which actually makes recording videos out there kind of challenging because sometimes, like without these microphones, you actually would not be able to hear me out in the desert at all because it is that windy.
No problem, man.
Appreciate the time. I know everybody's going to be stoked
out
to see this, and
thank you so much for putting this out there. And I've watched, so many videos. I've learned a lot from a lot of the different growers and collectors, you know, on your channel, on other people's channels. So this is great, just sharing stories and, of course, what's unique and what I'm doing for my area is gonna vary greatly with what everybody else has in their microclimate. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. But the thing that's, I think, and I want to add one more thing before I let you guys go, to piggyback on what he said, is that what works for Adam, obviously it's working spectacularly for him. It doesn't necessarily mean that the exact same setup, soil mix, and watering schedule is going to work for where you live, because you might live in a different climate altogether, so it might be hotter and or cooler generally in the summer. You might have more humidity. You might have trees that give you more shade at certain parts of the day that limit the hours of sunlight that the plants have. So there's all kinds of different factors to take into consideration when you're trying to figure out the perfect way to care for your plants. So, you know, don't feel so bad if you kill stuff.
Yeah.
I kill stuff.
I kill stuff.
It happens. It happens. So, but you grow from seed, you keep new generations coming, and then, you know, when you got a whole bunch of seedlings coming on, if you lose a plant, it's less painful.
Exactly.
But with that being said, thank you guys so much for being here. Drop a like, drop a comment, go follow Adam on Instagram and say what's up. And until the next time, peace.